Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel, like it and talk in the comments. Neymar da Silva Santos Jr., Mogi das Cruzes, February 5, 1992, is a Brazilian footballer who plays as a striker. He currently plays for Paris Saint-Germain and the Brazilian national team. He is considered the main Brazilian footballer today and one of the best footballers in the world. Revealed by Santos in 2009, Neymar won several titles with the club, including 2 Campeonato Paulistas in a row, a Copa do Brasil and a Libertadores, with the latter being Santos' first since 1963. He won the award for Best South American Player of the Year twice in a row, in 2011 and 2012, and a Puskás Award, for the Most Beautiful Goal of the Year, in 2011. In 2013, was sold to Barcelona, after being the protagonist of the conquest of the 2013 Confederations Cup by the Brazilian national team. Considered the most expensive sale in the history of Brazilian football, Neymar, in his second season for the Spanish club, starring an attacking trio alongside Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez, won the treble of La Liga, Copa del Rey and Champions League of UEFA, ending up as one of the top scorers in the latter and establishing himself as one of the best footballers in the world, being a finalist for the FIFA Ballon d'Or for his performances in the same year. In 2017, he became the most expensive transfer in football history, with his millionaire sale to Paris Saint-Germain for €222 million. That same year, he was for the second time in his career one of the 3 finalists for the FIFA World Player of the Year award, this time named the Best FIFA Football Awards. In his 3rd season in Paris, Neymar helped PSG reach their first Champions League final, which they lost 1-0. Neymar is the Brazilian player with the most goals for this competition since 2018, when he surpassed Kaká. For the Brazilian national team, Neymar debuted at the age of 18 and is currently the number 10, the main player and the second highest scorer in the history of the national team, second only to Pelé. He played at the 2014 FIFA World Cup, where he scored 4 goals in 5 matches, but suffered a serious spinal injury during the quarter-final against Colombia, which ruled him out of the competition. In the previous year, he had won the FIFA Confederations Cup title, being the main Brazilian star during the 5 games of the campaign, where he scored 4 goals and provided 3 assists, having even taken the award for best player in the competition and also the boot of bronze. He participated in the 2018 FIFA World Cup, scored 2 goals, but Brazil was eliminated in the quarterfinals. He also played in 3 editions of the Copa America, in 2011, 2015 and 2021, failing to make it past the quarterfinals in the first 2 opportunities and losing the title to Argentina in the last. In 2016, he was part of the squad that won the first Olympic title in the history of Canarinho, scoring the penalty that gave him the title and leaving as a hero. Off the field, Neymar is one of the most successful athletes in the world. Sports Pro named him the world's most marketable athlete in 2012 and 2013, and ESPN cited him as the world's 4th most famous athlete in 2016. In 2017, Neymar was included by Time in the list of the 100 most influential people in the world. In 2018, France Football ranked Neymar as the 3rd highest paid footballer in the world. Forbes ranked him as the 3rd highest paid athlete in the world in 2019, and the 4th highest paid athlete in 2020. For 9 years, Neymar was a top endorser for U.S. sportswear company Nike, until he signed with Germany's Puma in August 2020. Biography. Childhood and youth. Son of the mechanic Neymar da Silva Santos, from whom he inherited the name, and Nadine Santos, Neymar was born in the city of Mogi das Cruzes, in the metropolitan region of São Paulo, on February 5, 1992, but still very young he moved to São Vicente and then to Santos. In 2003, at the age of 11, he reached Santos' youth team, where he never left until he became a professional. When Neymar still did not earn enough to support the family, he, his father, mother and sister lived in a room in his grandmother's house, on the outskirts of São Vicente. With the money and already foreseeing the success of their son, the family bought their first property, an apartment next to Vila Belmiro. As the teenager grew, the family's standard of living improved. At age 15, Neymar earned 10,000 reais a month. At 16, 25,000. At 17, when he became a starter in Santos' first team, the first sponsorships came. Neymar is evangelical, and attends the Baptist church with his family. Santos and Barcelona. Neymar started his career in the youth team of Portuguesa Santista in 1998, being transferred to Santos in 2003. After 6 years, he was promoted to the first team. In the year he made his debut with the professional team, Neymar was considered the greatest revelation of the Campeonato Paulista. The following year, he became the top scorer in the Copa do Brasil with 11 goals, and the best player in the Campeonato Paulista, ending the season with 42 goals in 60 games. At the age of 19, Neymar won the 2011 South American Footballer of the Year award, after finishing third in the previous edition. In 2011, he competed for the Best Player in the World award, where he finished in 10th position. At the same event, he received worldwide acclaim for winning the Puskás Award for Goal of the Year, scored in Santos' loss to Flamengo in a Campeonato Brasileiro match. Neymar was the main highlight of Santos winning the Libertadores, a triumph that led him to participate in the Club World Cup, where he was defeated in the final by 4-0 by Barcelona. After winning the 2012 Recopa, Neymar began to receive proposals from the same Barcelona, the team with which he signed a contract in a controversial agreement involving club president Sandro Rosell. In his first year with the team, Neymar won the Spanish Super Cup, but worldwide recognition and acclaim as one of the greatest players in the world came in the 2014-15 season, with the triumph of the Spanish Championship, the Copa del Rey and the Liga dos UEFA champions. At Barcelona, Neymar was part of the MSN trio, formed together with the players Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez, described by journalists as the best attack in recent years in world football. Brazilian team. Neymar represented the Brazilian national team in the under-17, under-20 and professional categories. For the senior national team, he made his debut in 2010, aged 18, in a friendly against the United States, where he scored a goal. Neymar became the top scorer in the 2011 U20 South American Championship with 9 goals, including 2 in the final in a triumph against the Uruguayan national team, leading the team to the title. He was summoned by the then-coach Luiz Felipe Scolari for the 2013 FIFA Confederations Cup, where he started playing with the number 10 shirt and ended up being chosen as the best player of the tournament, contributing to the Brazilian conquest with a goal in the final. Against Spain. At the 2014 FIFA World Cup, Neymar was the highlight of the national team with 4 goals, until he suffered an injury to a spinal vertebra in the quarter-final game against the Colombian national team, which caused him to miss the team for the remainder of the tournament. Despite this, he received the bronze boot as the third highest scorer of the event, and was part of the team described as the Dream Team, with the best 11 players in the competition. Career. Base categories. Neymar arrived at Santos youth team in 2002, at the age of 11, and since a very young age he has been treated as a jewel by his various coaches. Still in his teens, he already had great media attention in general, even participating in friendlies with players who had long since become professionals. Also in the base categories and still very young, Neymar met Paulo Henrique Ganso, who would be a player for the Santos team, champion of titles such as the 2010 Copa do Brasil and 2011 Copa Libertadores alongside Neymar. After defending São Paulo, Ganso transferred to Sevilla. At the age of 14, he traveled to Spain in order to do a kind of internship in the Real Madrid team, which at the time had stars such as Ronaldo, Zinedine Zidane, David Beckham and Roberto Carlos. The player was approved in the tests of the Spanish team, and was even registered with the Madrid Football Federation. Noting Real's interest in the still teenage Neymar and under the risk of losing their future star, Santos board paid 1 million reais to the player so that he could remain in the club's youth ranks and become a professional there. Real Madrid's board thought it wasn't worth shelling out that money for a 14-year-old athlete. Saints. 2009. Considered a great promise by Santos, Neymar made his debut in the professional team on March 7, 2009, at the age of 17, in the match against Oeste, at the Pacaembu Stadium, for the Campeonato Paulista. His first goal as a professional wearing the Santos shirt was against Magi Mirim, in Vila Belmiro, on March 15, also for the state championship. Featured in the semi-finals of that competition against Palmeiras, he played his first professional final against Corinthians. Although he did not stand out in the decision that brought Santos runners-up, he ended up being chosen as the revelation of the Campeonato Paulista. For the Brazilian Championship, he stood out alongside Paulo Henrique Ganso, but Santos ended up finishing in 12th place. 2010. For the Paulista Championship, Neymar achieved the feat of scoring 5 goals in 5 classics. Most notably, he scored 3 goals against São Paulo, as well as scoring against Corinthians and against Palmeiras in the campaign in which Santos became champions of São Paulo. Against São Paulo in the first phase, the match was won by 2-1. In the semi-finals, 2 more victories, 3-2 in the first leg and 3-0 in the return. Santos returned to win another classic, this time against Corinthians, by 2-1. Already against Palmeiras, his team lost by the score of 4-3. After the victory in the state campaign, the team that had an offensive quartet formed by Neymar, Paulo Henrique Ganso, Robinho and André was nicknamed Meninos de Vila, a nickname usually given to teams that Santos forms, with players revealed in the categories base as a highlight. The second title of the season would come in the Copa do Brasil. Neymar stood out in the matches against Navarrense, a resounding 10-0 thrashing, in addition to the 8-1 over Guarani, a game in which he scored 5 of the 8 goals for the Santos team, in a match played in Vila Belmiro, for the round of 16 of the competition. On July 28, in the final of the tournament, Neymar scored one of the goals in the first leg, helping Santos to beat Vitória by 2-0. Despite the defeat in the return game in Salvador, Santos was crowned champion of the tournament and Neymar was the top scorer with 11 goals, guaranteeing the team's place in the following year's Libertadores. Still in 2010, amidst strong speculation of his transfer to Europe, most likely to Chelsea, in England, the club's board again tried to keep the player. On August 23, President Luis Álvaro de Oliveira Ribeiro held a meeting with Neymar da Silva Santos, manager and father of the player. After the meeting, Pelé called the president of Santos, who was also trying to convince Neymar, father, to keep his son at the club. Neymar decided to stay at Santos. Following the 2010 season, already with a guaranteed place in the Copa Libertadores the following year, Santos did not show great importance to the Brazilian Championship that year, finishing only in 8th place. Despite this, Neymar was still the second top scorer in the 2010 Brasileiro, with 17 goals, second only to Jonas, then at Grêmio, who had scored 23 times. 2011. After 2010, he started to be considered by many specialists as the best active player in the country. For Santos, now reinforced by Elano, Neymar started the season helping the club to qualify for the final phase of the Campeonato Paulista. Then, Santos won Ponte Preta in the quarterfinals, and passed by rival São Paulo in the semi-finals, in the classic called Sansão. In the final, they faced Corinthians, who had gone through Palmeiras in the semis. In the first game, held at the Pacaembu Stadium, the goalless draw proved to be a good result for Santos in the return game, since now the team only needed the minimum score to be champion. In the return game, in Vila Belmiro, Santos won 2-1, with one of the goals being scored by Neymar, becoming two-time champion of São Paulo, and for the 19th time state champion. For the Copa Libertadores, Santos qualified in second place in Group 5, behind Cerro Porteño, and went through América de Mexico in the round of 16, winning 1-0 in Vila Belmiro and holding the 0-0 at home of the opponent. Once Caldas was the opponent in the quarterfinals. In the first leg, in Colombia, Santos won by 1-0, with a good performance, having also given the pass to the goal scored by Alan Patrick. On the way back, the 1-1 draw at Pacaembu ensured Peak's place in the semi-finals, again having Cerro Porteño as an opponent, as well as in the group stage. Against Cerro, Santos won in the first leg, again at Pacaembu, by 1-0. On the way back, in Paraguay, after the 3-3 draw, Santos secured their place in the final. In the final of the Copa Libertadores, Santos faced Peñarol, who had beaten Vélez Sarsfield in the other semi. In the first leg, held at Estadio Centenario, in Montevideo, Neymar had a lackluster performance and suffered a lot with the tough marking of the Uruguayan defenders, even receiving a yellow card in a move that, according to referee Carlos Amarilla, the player simulated having received a blow to the abdomen region. During the break of the game, Neymar also claimed that Amarilla threatened him with expulsion several times if he continued to fall or was fouled, a fact that would suspend him from the return game. Despite a busy match with plenty of chances for both teams, the game ended 0-0. In the return match, Neymar scored one of the goals in the 2-1 victory, helping Santos to win the Copa Libertadores title, after 48 years, and guaranteeing the team's place in the 2011 FIFA Club World Cup, held in Japan. His debut for the Brazilian Championship took place only in the 12th round, in the exciting match against Flamengo. In the long-awaited duel against Ronaldinho Gaucho, Neymar scored two of Santos' 4 goals, but could not avoid his team's defeat in an unusual 5-4. Later, at the end of the year, one of the goals scored in that game was voted the most beautiful of 2011 in the FIFA Ferenc Puskás Award. Still in the Brazilian Championship, in a game valid for the 32nd round, Neymar scored 4 goals against Atlético Paranaense and even had 2 more annulled in Santos' 4-1 victory over the Atlético team. On November 1, the nominees for the 2011 FIFA Ballon d'Or were announced and Neymar was the first player playing in South America to be nominated for the award. Previously, in 2007, Rogério Ceni was nominated for the Golden Ball by the French magazine France Football, being the first athlete playing in Brazil to be nominated for the award before the unification with the FIFA award. For the 2011 FIFA Club World Cup, Santos faced Kashiwa Reysol in the semi-final, and did not have many difficulties in the 3-1 victory, with Neymar scoring a beautiful goal from outside the area. In the final, Santos faced what was considered the best team in the world at the time, Barcelona, a match where Neymar was very well marked by Spanish defender Carles Puyol, with a rather lackluster performance. Santos was largely dominated in the match, and saw Lionel Messi and company thrashing 4-0. After the match, Neymar won the Bronze Ball award for being named the 3rd best player in the tournament. 2012. In his second match of the year on February 5, for Paulista, he scored his 100th career goal in Santos' defeat by Palmeiras 2-1. There were 82 goals for Santos and 18 more for the Brazilian national team, including the youth teams. For the Copa Libertadores de América, after a 2-1 defeat by the strongest, from Bolivia, in the first game, Neymar had an extraordinary performance in the match against Internacional, on March 7, in Vila Belmiro. The striker was the author of a hat-trick, scoring Santos 3 goals in the match and enacting a 3-1 victory over the Gauchos, a result that placed Santos in second place in the group. One of Neymar's 3 goals in that match was compared to the goal scored against Flamengo the previous year, which gave the player the 2011 FIFA Ferenc Puskás Award, as the most beautiful goal of the year. Following the Libertadores, Santos had 2 games against Juan Auric, from Peru. The first of them, held at the Peruvians' home on March 15, ended with the score of 3-1 in favor of the Brazilians. In that game, Neymar did not score a goal, but in the return game, held at the Pacaembu Stadium a week later, Santos again beat the Peruvian team by 2-0, with a goal by Edu Dracena and another by Neymar. The duel from Santos continued with spectacular performances also in the matches for the Campeonato Paulista, including a goal against São Paulo, in the classic Sansão held at the Morumbi Stadium, in addition to another hat-trick in the 5-0 defeat of Guaratingueta, resuming its average of 1 goal per game in the year. Also for Libertadores, Neymar played against the strongest team in Vila Belmiro. After losing the first game, Santos managed to beat the Bolivian team by 2-0, albeit with some difficulty, with Neymar scoring the second goal of the match. Neymar's good start to the season continued in the classic Sansão, valid for the semi-final of the Campeonato Paulista. In what was perhaps the striker's best match of the year, a game that was balanced and with chances for both sides, Neymar once again unbalanced in favor of Santos and scored the 3 goals of the 3-1 victory over São Paulo, in the middle of Morumbi Stadium, guaranteeing Santos' place in the state final for the 4th year in a row. In this match, the striker also scored his 100th goal for Santos, the first of 3, joining the list of top scorers in the club's history for good. On May 10, Neymar scored 2 goals against Bolívar in the Libertadores round of 16, now becoming Santos' top scorer in the post-Pelé era with 106 goals scored, surpassing former striker Serginho Chulapa, who had 104 goals. On May 13, he scored 2 more against Guarani in Santos' victory by 4-2, winning the 3rd São Paulo championship in addition to the artillery of the competition, with 20 goals. After the 3rd São Paulo championship won by Santos, the team turned its attention to Libertadores again in search of the Tetra. Their opponent in the quarterfinals of the competition was the Argentine club Vélez Sarsfield. In the first game, Neymar did not have a good performance. Vélez won the match in Argentina 1-0. In the second game, held at Vila Belmiro, Neymar had a better performance, and Santos returned the score by 1-0, with a goal by Allan Kardec, taking the dispute to penalties. Peaks didn't have much difficulty beating the Argentine team on penalties. Neymar would be the 5th to charge, but he didn't get to do it because the Praia team had already made a sufficient advantage, 4-2. In the semi-finals, Santos faced Corinthians, with the first duel held in Vila Belmiro. Corinthians beat Santos 1-0, a goal scored by Emerson Sheik. In the second game, held at Pacaembu, repeating the same performance of the first game of the confrontation, Neymar did not play well, but scored the only goal for Santos. This goal, however, was not enough, as Corinthians reached a tie at the beginning of the second half and disqualified the club from Libertadores. After the participation of the Brazilian team in the London Olympics, the athlete was involved in another controversy. He featured prominently in a friendly against the Swedish national team and, after the game, chartered a jet that took him directly to the capital of Santa Catarina, where Santos faced the Figueirense team. He was criticized for appearing in 2 games in just 2 days, but the star player's standout performance meant that criticism was muted after the game. 2013. During his vacation at the beginning of the year, Neymar was the center of attention after appearing with a new look of completely blonde hair. That was also how he appeared in the match against Botafogo SP for the second round of the Paulista Championship, where he was again the center of attention, elected the best player on the field for his daring moves, including a move that had a lot of repercussions, where the shirt 11 took a hat to an opposing defender using the sole of his foot. In the same match he still scored a goal. The championship followed and Neymar continued to stand out, helping Santos to reach its 5th consecutive state final. However, the dream of the 4th championship was frustrated by Corinthians. Neymar was elected the champion of the championship, in addition to being the second top scorer with 12 goals scored, and was part of the selection of the championship. On May 25, 2013, Neymar played his last game for Santos at Estadio Main Garrincha, in a match valid for the first round of the 2013 Brazilian Championship. The star was moved and could not hold back the tears during the national anthem. The match ended 0-0. In his official presentation for the Catalan team, Neymar was welcomed by 56,000 fans at Camp Nou and broke the record set by Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who in 2009 brought around 50,000 to the stadium. In his second match for Barcelona, he faced his former club, Santos, entering the second half, helping in the 8-0 defeat against the rival, giving an assist to Cesc Fabregas. He scored his first goal with a Barcelona shirt in the 1-1 draw against Atletico de Madrid, at the Vicente Calderón Stadium, in the first leg of the Supercopa de España. In the match against the biggest rival of the Catalan club, Real Madrid, Neymar stood out, leaving his goal and an assist in the 2-1 victory at Camp Nou in a match valid for La Liga. On December 11, Neymar scored his first hat-trick for the Catalan team in a 6-1 thrashing against Celtic, in a match valid for the group stage of the UEFA Champions League. 2014. On January 16, Neymar ended up leaving the field injured in the 24th minute of the first after spraining the peroneal tendons of his right ankle, but Barcelona beat Getafe by 2-0. After 30 days without playing, Neymar returned to play for Barcelona, scoring a great goal in the 6-0 defeat of Rayo Vallecano. The striker entered the second half when the game was 5-0. Neymar scored the equalizer between Barcelona and Atletico de Madrid 1-1 in the Champions League, in the quarterfinals, after a pass from Andrés Iniesta. Neymar returned to the field, after a spinal injury during the World Cup, in a friendly between Barcelona and León of Mexico, a match in which he scored 2 goals and helped in the 6-0 victory. On September 13, 2014, he scored 2 goals as Barcelona beat Athletic Bilbao 2-0. After a lackluster performance in the Classic against Real Madrid, Neymar scored 2 goals in the 3-0 victory against Celta de Vigo. In his first game after the injury at the 2014 FIFA World Cup, Neymar scored 2 beautiful goals, one of which was a heel in the 6-0 defeat of Lyon, in a match valid for the Joan Gamper Trophy. Against Athletic Bilbao, the Brazilian striker was decisive after entering the second half and scoring both goals in the 2-0 victory, in a match valid for La Liga. On September 27, Neymar scored a hat-trick in the Spanish Championship, in the 6-0 defeat of Granada. This game also marked the milestone of 400 career goals for Argentine star Lionel Messi. On March 9, in a match against Real Sociedad, for the 36th round of La Liga, the number 11 reached the mark of 50 goals with the shirt of the Catalan team, having scored the second of the game, which ended in 2-0 in favor of Barca, held at the Camp Nou. On October 25, in the first derby against Real Madrid in the 2014-15 season, Neymar scored a beautiful goal after receiving a pass from Luis Suarez and getting rid of 2 markers to finish with style in the right corner, opening the scoring of the match in full Santiago Bernabéu Stadium. On December 10, he stood out in a 3-1 victory over Paris Saint-Germain in the UEFA Champions League, in which he scored a great goal from outside the area, hitting the right corner of Salvatore Sirigu. With the victory, Barcelona advances to the round of 16 of the competition in the first place of its group. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel, like it and talk in the comments.